Uh, Commander Thorlick, if you present us a log that you're able to quickly... Oh. Hmm? 1 second. Did the stream just die?
Hope not. My psychic powers are too great for the stream.
Huh, that's weird.
Do we want to?
No, it's back going, I guess. It just dipped suddenly.
Okay.
This will be a two-part, folks, so if you're seeing this in a second thing, that's what happened. We just had a quick dip there, so... But yes, Yes, timely as it is, hilariously, you're able to check the computer and see that a few hours have gone by since you landed, though you don't recall the actual landing. You just you remember going into it and then waking up here.
Right.
So you're more logging to the Mona Lisa computer in case, well,
Yeah.
someone finds the Mona Lisa.
I'm looking around first just to make sure our situation is stable enough that I can log.
You're getting alarms. You do have to tap the computer to let it know, yes, someone has heard the alarms. Please stop saying them.
Yeah.
But you're not in immediate danger. Well, the computer thinks you're in immediate danger if you try to launch, but,
Well, I'm not going to try and launch.
yeah.
Right away. Alright. Captain's log. Supplemental. Stardate 6:05:09.5. We find ourselves in unknown space with strange situations around us. The, at this point, comforting background of the Shackleton Expanse is nowhere in sight, and the planets and stars themselves appear to be jumbled. Lieutenant Commander Haifa is, well, not active, and we don't have an engineer on board good enough to check them out and see what's going on. Everyone else is feeling a little bit harrowed. We'll have to figure out how we're getting out of this one. The upshot is we have at least a semi-stable landing place, and our period of unconsciousness does not appear to have put any of our systems in pressing danger. And log.
I'll note that the log being said is something everyone could hear because you're in a Type 7, so space is at a premium. So Thorok literally saying this, standing in front of the console, and then just taps a button
I'm saying
to get
this
it stopped.
like still sat at the con, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sayrana, who's been kind of looking out one of the windows, confused at the spatial geography, like turns Nastock to you and says, I am confused by this behavior of the Starfleet. We all know what has happened. You certainly know what's happened. Are you recording this for the people who may find our ship long after we have passed here? Is that your hope? To ensure that our memory remains?
Actually, yes. It is a matter of documenting what has transpired so far, so that if we don't get out of this, but the ship somehow does, people know what was happening, so that mistakes can be avoided in the future, or solutions found again if our knowledge somehow proves useful. I would think the Free Information Sphere would follow a similar protocol.
Yes, but maybe not at this moment. I believe there are more important things to do than be writing our death certificates.
You take any moment of calm. Because
the captain.
The moments when you can record might be the last ones you have.
everything kind of shifts under your feet, and you feel. Then you notice that part of the reason you're all feeling a little queasy, or were about to feel queasy, is that there's weird movements. It feels like gravity's shifting a little bit, or something's happening. Like you feel like you're being pulled a certain way, or the ground's shifting. If you were on a ship, you'd say that the gravitational plates are out of alignment or something, or out of phase. But you're on a planets don't shift like that, and it doesn't feel like an earthquake. So that's why your biologies are a little confused as to what's happening around you. So you're getting this sort of motion sickness feeling that all of you are able to weather, but you can feel the the swaying of the planetoid you're on.
Got it. Well, let's try and get some scans in and determine a little bit more about our situation.
It is still buzzing, right? The alarms.
They'd be
Well,
flash.
they're quieted.
They're quieted, but
Okay.
they're flashing to let you know that they're there.
Still, she's going to point to one of them and say, "Are we not in danger of crash?"
That's what we need to determine. We're not in immediate danger, but we need to figure out our situation. Hence, scans.
Reason plus science. Difficulty of 4. Assisted by the Mona Lisa's sensor science.
Oh yeah, because they'll be so helpful. I think that'll either be... That'll probably be Kobuk, unless... Serana, do you have any good science ability?
I'm rocking a 12.
I have a 14, and I can give myself a focus.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll
Serana,
assist.
yeah, Serana was a science officer before she was a command officer. Take 3 threat, GM.
Certainly.
And I would like to give myself the temporary focus of sensor operations.
Okay.
Kobuk joins you. I will offer assistance. I have spent enough time looking over Ven's shoulders while he's at sensor operations to have picked up a thing or two.
Why, you're an eager one. 1 momentum, 2 threat, GM.
Taking my 2 threats. I take 2 threats. Right, yeah.
3 for the focus, 2 for the roll.
Right.
Well,
It's the big show.
all right, GM. I would like to spend on my.
It's not a
Frolic?
comp.
It isn't, no.
Okay.
It's the ship sheet being weird.
Okay. I would like to spend on my value. We are partners, not subordinates, on the grounds of above all else, we must partner with the Federation and work together to get out of this, or all of us are going to die here.
That's a fair point, yeah.
All right, re-rolling the comp to 0. So that is 1, 2, 3, 5. Excuse me.
You are able to confirm that you are on the moon that you were trying, that the signal was coming from. You can see, whoops, I clicked the wrong thing. There is a Class J or gas giant planet, several asteroids flinging around. There is a Class K planet whose atmosphere is rapidly being demolished by the various planetoids and moons that are flinging around each other. You seem to be in some sort of closed system, if you will. This little pocket of subspace where all the gravitational fields are flinging each other randomly across each other, bouncing around, so to speak, in this pocket of space that shouldn't support spatial objects, because subspace is that layer of space below space. So yeah, you're kind of ping-ponging around in a small pocket, which surprisingly is stable. Usually you require according to the computer that you're looking at, you usually would require a warp bubble to... Well, Kobik could probably inform this, actually. Kobik would know that a subspace bubble is usually required to maintain that bubble in subspace. You can slip through it really fast. But it's very hard to maintain it just for a ship. Like, it takes a lot of energy to maintain that bubble, and you try to make it as small as possible to use up as little energy as possible. This is huge. This is a star system huge. So, the biggest danger is there is also a red dwarf star pinging around in here, which is why you're getting those huge lurches, because every so often this moonlet's getting yanked by either one of the planets or by the star. Eventually, one of these things is going to hit each other and have a catastrophic impact. The only reason your planet, if it had an atmosphere, would be losing it rapidly due to the weird, since your orbit is basically demolished, and you're basically a rogue planetoid flinging around in a closed system with a bunch of other rogue planetoids. How much time you have no idea. The computer's not even really sure, but it's not a lot. Eventually, something's going to hit something else, and then once that happens, energetic gravitational forces will likely occur. Although how exactly that will manifest in a subspace field. But, bit of good news. Amidst all that, you do sense the facility. Or a facility that is of free information sphere build.
Inside
A mission.
the system?
On this planet. On this moon, if you will.
On the planet that we are landed on? Oh, so we landed on it or crashed on it?
It appears you landed.
I don't remember that.
You're walking away from it. Technically, it's a landing.
Okay.
It's here. It's about this big. There's some outbuildings.
How far away is this from our crash site? Sorry, our
Our landing site. Excuse you.
If you walked it, jeez. Do I have
A more realistic transit method, I guess.
It would be a considerable amount of time. You're looking at, in EVA suits, days of travel overland.
Right.
Okay. But by like, if you were able to get the shuttle up or beam over, it'd be a lot faster because you're moving at fast.
Yeah. Okay. First question. Are the planets and the planetary bodies in this closed system, are they moving around because like they're being pulled on each other's gravity in like a really intense way?
Yeah.
Or is some other form of propulsion making them move like this?
They've kind of been, instead of having a nice stable orbit around the star like they had initially, basically someone grabbed the dinner plate of the system and dumped it into a bag, and now they're all kind of bouncing around. Now that all the gravitational forces are pulling and jerking each other randomly around.
You've got a non-intelligent system trying to reestablish orbits.
And what's sort of complicating the issue is that normally, if you have a couple things happen, either planet in an unstable system like that, they'll either strike each other and stop, they'll find stability, or the third one, which is fairly likely sometimes, is it will fling itself out into open space. Well, there's nowhere to fling out of. It kind of hits into the impermeable sphere of subspace you're in, and then it bounces back. Or it doesn't bounce straight back. Like, it doesn't reflect like off a straight wall. It's more like it curves around this firmament, if you will, and then comes back eventually.
The laws of physics say, no, not over there. back the other way.
Firmament around the world. Okay. Okay. Can I and Kovuk attempt to do some mathematical calculations to make like a projection of like where we estimate this will approximately go to give us like how many hours we might have left, if that?
So for a momentum, I'll answer that.
Okay. Yeah, Sirana, grumbles about she never did like doing this kind of math, and she was never very good at it. But the things you study the least for are the things you have to do in your job.
So I'll grab that momentum away.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to.
I thought you'd be our beat, so I was like, I'll just remind them. So basically, at the end of a scene, I will roll a single challenge die. This first scene will matter nothing. But what will matter is if you have another scene. At the end of the scene, one challenge will be rolled. Whether effect happens or not. If an effect happens, complications will occur because of the gravitational forces shifting dramatically as things are starting to as the situation is starting to degrade. But it's not catastrophic yet. It gets catastrophic if you get to another scene. In the next scene, at the end of that scene, it becomes 2 challenge dice. And then the scene after that, 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. The minute 2 effects roll, something is impacting something else. And that's when things will get very dramatic.
On the positive side, if a planetoid impacts the star, it's less dramatic.
It's true. It screws up the mathematics of how the planets are zipping around each other, because now there's one less gravitational body, which changes the math.
But it basically absorbs one if it collides with the star.
So once 2 happen, one of the astronomical bodies are going to collide with the other. That the good thing is that because you're on a moon, that you won't be first.
It'll be the planet we're on.
It'll be like the gas giant or the class K planet or something like that. Like the bigger stuff will kind of draw around to each other a little more quickly, or one of the moons will impact one of them. But so once 2 are rolled, something's getting destroyed. One of the planets or moons are getting destroyed. If 3 are rolled, it's you guys. Your moon is going to hit something.
Okay.
Okay, in that case, you see for a couple moments, Sirana and Kovuk are like arguing over data models, and you don't fully understand why. And then Sirana is going to tap over after a couple minutes onto like the navigational display on the computer and say, "This is the best map we can gather of our current solar position. We are trapped inside this subspace firmament with several other celestial bodies. Because their orbits have been thrown off so much, they are bouncing around like a group of marbles in a bag. What is that Earth game I've seen them introduce on the station? Billiards. It's like when the pool stick hits the triangle of billiards balls.
Dumb chopped.
We cannot come up with a fully accurate estimate of when this will affect us. However, it's almost certainly going to. The chance of impact is increasing at an exponential rate. We need to leave the system as fast as we can. And I think the only way we're going to find out how to do that is here. And she points at the one FIS outpost we know is here. If we can get the shuttle up, we can be there in a minute.
All right. Let's see what plotting a low altitude course looks like.
First, you might have to check that the engines work.
Landed.
Landing implies intent, Commander Captain.
True enough. True enough.
Landing implies survival. Depending on how you look at it.
True enough. True enough.
Alright. GM, do I want to know what was just rolled?
Yep. You probably do a quick damage report. You call a damage report from the ship, and you guys kind of walk around the inside of the shuttle to see what's broken. Your subspace transceiver is demolished. Well, not demolished. It's disabled. Wait, no, you're scale 1. It's destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have subspace. Cool.
I mean, you do. You've got a lot of it. That's kind of the problem.
Actually,
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
You're
everyone. Okay. Well, on the plus side, looks like all the systems we need right now are intact. If we get out of here, we'll have a little bit of trouble with calling for help, but other than that, we can survive. GM, I would like to try and plot a course over to the base.
Reason Con, difficulty 3, assisted by Computers Con.
Con, difficulty 3. Alright. Focus and guidance?
I'm thinking. Yeah, I'll take it.
Alright. Hoplite Commander as a trait?
Yes.
Right.
Because you're dealing with a rather extraordinary hazard that you're navigating.
Yeah.
Especially in shuttles, hazard teams. This wouldn't work as well for a full cruiser, but for a shuttle, hazard teams have to use shuttles usually to get into weird places.
Calm in the storm because of what's going on right above me?
Yep.
Alright. Difficulty 1, I will roll that. Alright, so that's success, and then the ship. Engine. Or, would it be engines or computers? Sorry.
Computers. Computers.
Cool. Nothing there. No comp. Alright. Course plotted.
As you have to.
It's a different task to pilot it.
Yep. It'll be Control Con, difficulty of 2, assisted by Engines Con.
Alright.
I will note that normally this would be a diff 0 task, but due to the and that's including the fact that you plotted a course. If you hadn't plotted the course, it'd be diff 3.
That's why I was plotting a course. Same traits.
Plan, huh?
Hoplite Commander and Common Storm. Yes, it's all part of the plan now.
I will say back to you. Hoplite training has yet to deal with this, or at least especially the Hoplite command. They haven't really dealt with this type of anomaly before. So your training kind of flying a shuttle in this is very theoretical. And as for Calm in the Storm, you get this as you get ready for the controls. There's this lurching feeling that you quiet, but there's this lurching feeling that if you screw this up, it is unlikely your blood will ever get back to the wall. But you kind of set that aside and kind of focus on what you're doing.
Yeah. Way to stab an
I'm
Andorian
just-
in the guts.
Yeah, I'm just happy it's happening to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine Sirana is like so nervous about this. As you take off, she like compresses herself down to like half her size and like is like squeezed tight on her seat. You know, deeply nervous that you're about to kill all of us. Well,
Yeah.
you know, she's not saying it. But...
You're getting ready to be ping-ponged around the room.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, more like strained.
Ugh.
So then one more trait I might go for at that point. Knowing what I know, relentless.
I'll take Relentless with it. I won't fight you on that one.
Alright. Um... I don't think I have a focus for this one. So I will spend 3 threat for 4 dice.
Okay.
Alright, I generate was it 1 or 2? Because wait, did you take Calm the Storm or did the Calm the Storm just give me a
I canceled out Calm the
Cutscene.
Storm and
cool?
the other one, yeah.
I wanted to make sure.
Engine's Con as well.
So I just chalked up the Mona Lisa to not helping me in my mind.
You could roll Complication. That's where I'm looking at it for
It
it.
could. No,
We
that's a
still, like,
14.
roll an assist, and then we subtract that value from your end result.
I would still have an extra hit.
You start flying over. You fly as close to the moon as you can, and you're constantly having to adjust up and down in altitude because the planet's moving a lot.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to adjust. You're trying to make sure you don't get too far away from this moon's very weak gravitational pull. Because otherwise, if you get flung out of this, you have a whole new problem that you have to deal with. So it's a lot of... It's very low altitude flying. Thankfully, this is a small moon, so there's... The rise and fall of the topography of the ground isn't... Like, there's contours here, but that's like... They're very minor in comparison to a proper planet. Yeah, you're able to fly over the Mona Lisa toward... and you're able to get on... out the window. You can see various collections of outbuildings. You see various buildings off to your left and right, and one larger what Serena would recognize on first sight as a landing zone. You know that's where scale 2, scale 3 vessels could land. Scales 2, 3 and lower. Huh?
Are you saying that's what this structure is right here? Or are you saying
Yep.
it's over here? Okay.
Yep, that's what this is. This is a landing. That center hexagon area is a landing zone.
Yeah, she gesticulates with an appendage and says, make your way to that spot. It should be the most equipped landing area you will find. With any luck, there should be resources there to prepare the ship for our voyage.
Alright. I'll touch down there.
Excuse me.
Thank you, Wilder.
Yeah, I will take the ship in and attempt to touch down.
Give me Daring Con difficulty of 2. Actually, the minute you start lowering the ship down, and it is very difficult, it's very bouncy because you're trying to land on a moving target, annoyingly, because the planet is moving rapidly, and you're kind of sitting still. It's weird. You can't. You notice that tractor beams actually reach up to grab you. Do you try to evade them, or do you let them grab you?
I let them grab.
Yep, so the facility will assist you. Normally, this would just make it an automatic safe landing, but because the planet's moving around, you have to actually... You might... If you screw this up, you'll succeed at cost. You will land. You'll land into the building.
Right, got it. So yeah, once the tractor beams grab on, we'll probably cut everything except for like thrusters, and then just be trying to make like attitude adjustments and stuff to assist the thrusters, or not thrusters, the tractor beams, I guess. But Daring Con, yeah, still no focus here. I think this is the point at which none of my traits actually fire.
Yeah.
I will, however, buy a die with momentum. Two, plus the ship and the ground station.
You get one from the station.
And one from the ship, surprisingly. So, generate 2.
You move to land. The tractor beam starts pulling you in automatically. You wisely ignore the telemetry advice from the outpost's automated landing system. Normally, you'd follow that as the safest way to go down, but you know something the computer doesn't, in that this planetary body is not following the proper orbital pattern. So anything this thing's telling you is it'll say, "Go here, go here." No, go there, go there, go there. It's like, no. Which is it? Path A or Path B? It's Path C now. I'm ignoring you now. But the tractor beam is still at least pulling you downward, so it's kind of helping your descent, control your descent. Despite that, though, thunk! You still slam into the ground. But thankfully, it's only a single breach instead of 2 or more. You would have gotten 2 breaches if you hadn't landed properly. That took out your weapon system, not that you had any. I don't think for a Type 7.
Nope.
Where you might have been able to fit a phaser array if you installed it, that part is now crunched in.
I'm glad we're losing our non-essential systems first.
Come on, we really don't have time to have fun. We must survey the site to learn what we can, and then try to figure out a way to modify the shuttle to get out of this mess before we no longer can.
Agreed. Everyone suit up. Let's try and make contact with the locals here if they're still around.
Your EVA suits won't cost you anything because you need them to. If it wasn't for the atmosphere of the moon, you still have to worry about the atmosphere of the station.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof. There you go. So the 4 of you are able to disembark from the shuttle. You see that there are a few other small craft, Scale 1 small craft, that Sayrana, all of you would recognize, but Sayrana would be more familiar with them. These are worker craft. They're meant for planetary stuff, small flights, scouting, things like that. They're not really meant to leave planets. And you don't even bother putting quantum slipstream drives in them, because as small as they are for you, they still take up space. These things are more like glorified exosuits.
They're like worker bees.
Yep, that'd be the equivalent.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take note of them and say if we have to do repairs, these will be useful. I would like to begin looking around, scanning for any potential, first and foremost, like ship tooling, like I don't know, ship repair tools, engineering kits, that sort of thing, and any potential parts or fuel. You know, just anything that could help us if we have to soup up the shuttle. This is a landing. I presume this is essentially like a garage almost.
It's a land-based spaceport basically.
A small one, but yeah.
Yeah. Give me reason. science, or reason engineering difficulty 1.
Focus in sensor operations. If I try to use the ship sensors to make this scan.
Oh, you can scan with the Mona Lisa. That's true. Yep, you could do that. That would be sensors plus relevant department.
You said difficulty 2, right?
1. It's fairly easy because you're a FAS person, so you would know, you'd be familiar with a lot of this technology.
Then you know what? For once, I'm not giving you any threat. I'm just gonna roll flat.
Yep. Plus the shuttle. That's gaining 1 so far.
I think Thralic stepped away.
All right, I'll look it up. It's not the Volga, it's the Mona Lisa. B1.
That Panic at the Disco song's popping to my head every time people say Mona Lisa.
Are you aware that the Mona Lisa is a much more famous cultural history before the emergence of 2000s pop punk?
I mean, it's an okay painting. I've seen it. It's okay.
I think that's 2 successes, right? Because that's a 3, and ships always have a focus.
A focus, but the focus range is 0.
Oh, because it's shuttle. Okay.
Yeah, shuttles are garbage for this sort of thing. But hey, they have sensors. Mm-hmm. They're better than a tricorder. You're able to scan around, and yes, you actually can effect breach repair here. You would have to do a control engineering test. But yeah, there's a variety of tools and repair stuff that, although it isn't Starfleet issue, Duranium's Duranium. The only thing they couldn't repair here is the warp core. Because they can't help with matter-antimatter flow. So if engine gets damaged, it can't. If the core gets damaged, there's nothing they can do. But actually, no. Well, you have antimatter because you have warp. But yeah, everything else though it can repair.
Yeah, some of like the self-sealing stem bolts have like slightly different screw gauges, but we can work it out. It'll be fine. So yeah, that's what I am doing when we step off this ship is analyzing and cataloging the different pieces of tooling and equipment I've discovered.
You see no movement on the pad or anywhere in the landing area. Beyond yourselves, I mean.
Did Frolic say when they would be back? Because I don't really want to venture away before they're back. Until they're back.
Well, is there anything Rias or Kobik are up to while you're prepping your suits and considering your options?
What's the terrain looking like? Is it looking a bit difficult? Is it like loose ground?
The ground, compared to the rough pocked terrain, meteorite pocked terrain of the moon, the landing area is flattened. It's been leveled and put with various lights. So the ground here is actually fairly. It is level, but there's lots of stuff that get rattled around every so often. So stuff that would be anything that's not bolted down or gravitationally yanked to the ground has scattered. So loose bits of things have tumbled all over the ground and slide around every so often, like you're on the deck of a massive ship.
Okay, that's good to know.
Thralic is back.
I am.
Okay, we were discussing leaving the. I did a scan. I found some tools and equipment to repair the ship, if we have to, and then we were discussing leaving the path and exploring the settlement.
Agreed. Let's try and find the inhabitants.
Well, there appear to be 2 groups of buildings. Should be split into groups of 2.
Yes, let's.
Okay, Ensign Kobuk, we work well together. You're with me. We'll go over here.
amend that. We should have a security-minded person and someone who can go over system logs with each team.
In that case, you, the bald one, you're with me. We're going over here.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm here.
Kobuk, you're with me.
I'll note that moving
Yes, sir.
through the spaceport area is fairly straightforward. Things are scattered around. You don't see any firefighting but you don't see any personnel. You just see the automated systems, which Serena is able to very quickly recognize that that's not terribly unusual for a small landing area like this. This isn't a military. This isn't a defensive, a military outpost. This is a FIS, specifically a Savix Cast style landing zone. So it's meant to be fairly self-reliant and doesn't require a lot of personnel to manage. Especially since this is a proper... it's a biome or settlement, but it's not heavily populated enough to require persistent personnel. Although normally you would see a chief engineer come to greet you, or like the biome one of the biome's socialites come to greet people first to kind of, because Alex cats like to see people and get to brag that they got to see the new life form, but no one's come to see you. Nothing's out of book. Nothing's out of ordinary personnel-wise. But there's no real security systems beyond, unless you go around digging at restricted items, but not to be a ton in a landing zone.
Well, there doesn't appear to be anyone here, but it won't hurt to do a quick scan for life forms.
Yep.
Give me reason medicine, difficulty of 2 to do a sweep of the facility.
Is that one for each group, or?
You as one big group, so one lead and the other 3 can assist, because that would presume all of you are going around scanning for life forms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That's, what's the diff?
2.
2, and you said reason medicine?
Yep.
Okie doke. I am going to spend a momentum for a 3rd die. Okay. I'm gonna leave that as is.
Draw an additional. Who all is assisting on this? I guess is the question.
I can assist, because my reason medicine is 13.
Okay.
GM, a focus in investigative technique.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. I've watched Commander Kovac from a safe enough distance now that I kind of know how to examine a crime scene.
Commander.
Well, harmonize. I'm still recovering from COVID. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. I'm gonna roll an assist because I have a reroll on it, and it could generate us a bonus question potentially. So.
Well, there you go.
Or I could roll a nat 1. Okay. Plus, we generate a bonus momentum from my talent. So 2 float.
The 4 of you are able to find a single Savix Cast plantoid trapped, buried underneath some boxes.
It's only a single life sign amongst all these buildings? Alright.
Oh, that's just this building.
Oh, that's just this building.
That's
Okay.
just the spaceport.
Okay. Lieutenant Arias, get that person out of there. Kovac, prepare medical intervention if necessary.
I would call this fitness security difficulty 1, assisted by reason medicine by Kobuk.
I think those 2 float are going to go away unless Kovac has questions related to the roll to find life signs.
mean, we already found the one life sign, so
Yeah.
perhaps, if just an idea, we could go ahead.
Do we have any questions about that life sign?
Well, that's what I was asking you.
We have two. We could say generate an advantage where, because of our scans, we now have a map of the facility. That way we can move around it easier, perhaps.
You could make that argument, yeah.
Sure.
Alright, spend for that.
Looks like a good spend.
Because the four of you kind of wandered around the facility, looking, scanning everything until like, oh, we found somebody. Well, we now know this place like the back of our hand now.
That's the gym. That's the cafeteria. That's admin.
Okay.
Oh, and there's the sunken pit with Marlarks in it.
For Arias, would you take coordination as a focus?
I would, yeah.
I'd like to spend a momentum.
There they are.
And how dare you? We have 6.
Oh, put it on a layer they can see. That'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Ow. Hello. There we
And
go.
Kobuk, your assist.
Reason medicine to assist.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask.
Reason medicine.
Okay.
Yeah, you gain 2 as you're able to, between the two of you, you're able to safely extract the Savix cast from the boxes. Your preliminary scan gives the impression that it is non-lethally injured. It's just unconscious. And it does seem to be, it is non-lethally injured, but it's also dehydrated. It hasn't been immersed in water for a long time.
Maybe 1 for how long?
You could spend that 1, yeah.
Indeed.
Alright, you will spend.
1 week.
GM, is that fatal? Are they dead or just dying?
They are extremely unhealthy. They're sickly. It's like being, they can go without water a bit longer than most because they retain a lot, so they don't die of thirst quite as easily. But they're give them another 3. They have maybe 3 more weeks before they're completely dried out and die. But they're really uncomfortable. They'd be really uncomfortable the minute they woke up because they're dried out a little bit.
Are they conscious?
They're not. But they could be roused with something from Kobuk's medical kit.
Permission to administer hydration medications and to awake the subject.
Do so.
Granted. Yes.
You, yeah.
You
What
both
happened?
spoke over each other.
What happened is we both said yes in a different way at the same time.
Yeah.
Very well. And Kobuk will reach into his medical kit, pull out a couple of hypo sprays. One for one that effectively acts as like a liquid IV, and
Hydro spray, if you will.
Yeah, a hydro spray. And another to administer the general chemical compound to awaken.
So yeah, the first shot, you actually know, after a bit of training for the mission, you know that the first hydro spray, instead of jabbing it into them, because of how sensitive Savix cast bodies can be, you kind of hold the hyper spray a little bit away from the actual body and literally spritz it on the outside with your.
It's a literally spray it.
You're literally spraying the plant basically, and then you see yeah, it immediately starts looking dried out. Looks a lot more, and has a much more healthier yellow sheen to it. You can actually see little flowers starting to bloom on its body.
Oh, yeah, it's like with the hypospray, like you have, he literally like dilates the little ring at the end.
Yeah, it's like doing a quick jet of water would might make it go into shock. You're like, let's do a little more gently, spritz, and then turn it back up again to actually inject the into its core the actual stimulant. Its pseudopods flail for a second, and then as it touches somebody, it retracts from whatever it hit, and then its eye stalks kind of glance at the four of you, and then it goes very, very still.
Greetings. I am FIS Lieutenant Captain Serana. These are our gracious friends from Starfleet. We came here on an investigative mission to your colony, but now we are on a rescue mission to save you and any other survivors from the ongoing collapse. You are in good hands. Don't worry.
Presence command difficulty 1.
Okay, GM.
Yeah.
A focus in Upenturi etiquette. I know how to be nice to these people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, just put a banner up.
No, that's Serana etiquette. Very different things.
Yeah, you generate one. As you also make an effort as you're talking to him to kind of you try to make yourself less solid and more fluid, and that kind of it's a more comforting image. Like these very hard mammal meat eating things and plant eating things. Well, not meat eating, they don't care about that much, but plant eating things, like, I don't know. But liquidy looking thing, that's a comforting image. There's a way that Savax cats feel comfortable, so you're kind of able to talk. You move in a more comfortable way, and eventually.
That's why I spoke up first. I thought I'd be more calming.
Okay. Well, glad you're here. Welcome to our biome. So we are they Lieutenant Captain of Stars, I have covert knowledge that I don't know if it is appropriate to share with aliens.
Anything you say with me, anything you would say to me, you can say to them. We are, and she's going to look at the group and say, partners.
Are there Infospherians? Wait, you said partner. Are we allies with them?
How long have you been on this isolated colony?
About it changes some of its flowers change shape a little bit, and you understand the translators eventually give you hear the computer voice of the translator say 3 weeks.
You have been out of it for a very brief period of time in which many things have happened. Yes, these people are our allies. You will respect their authority the same way you would respect my authority.
Oh. Okay. So, we were working on a project on behalf of our new biome, and we were going to submit what we found once we were done the experiment, and we've lost control.
We did find a way to submit it to us.
Well, we're of a certain group of the Savax cast that works on secret projects. but this project, upon its completion, would require us to submit a member of parliament for our biome to report our findings. But
I promise you, you found a way to report your findings to us. An unconventional method, but we do know about the meteorite. We do know that of the organization you work for, and we do know about the extrasolar species that you were working with.
Okay.
We are several steps ahead of you, actually. However, none of that is important now. What's
Okay.
important now is that we have to escape from the subspace anomaly this system has created before it consumes us all. When I bring you back to the harmonizers, you can give them your full story then.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess I'll get to the blooming of it, I suppose. The extrasolar leader currently is in the control room in the alpha complexes. We have been trying for the last few weeks to stabilize since we lost control of the runaway effect, and we believe we can perforate the bubble that we're in and let our planet drain out and escape into real space. Although it is my belief that he intends to find some way to destroy it. The last I was there, I don't even know how long I've been out. The last I was there, we were trying to keep him out because he wanted to collapse the bubble and have everything in here destroyed. Likely to hide his culpability and prevent us from reporting what we found. I don't know how long we have. But we need the control room if we're to have any hope to rescue the rest of the colonists in the habitation outbuildings.
About that, you are the only colonists we have been able to find on our sensors. The rest of the colony appears to be abandoned.
We haven't gotten into tricorder range for the other buildings yet, Lieutenant Captain.
All the non-security personnel were told to hold in place in habitation. Everyone related to defense are holding the control rooms, fighting these aliens, these Romulans. That's the word for them.
How many Romulans here?
At least 7 uninjured. There's more, but they're likely. Last I saw, they were injured from the explosion and were hospitalized in habitation.
Frolic sprints back to the shuttle.
And with that, the scene ends.
All right.
And we roll. Whoops. Single challenge die. I said I roll a single challenge die. There we go. The planets zip around each other, and nothing has interacted with the other.
I'm planning on using the Type 7's feature to try and find hoplite gear at this point.
We cut to a meeting room aboard Halanak Station. If I can get to it. Boop. Can't find things. There we go. So we have Hend, Kovac. Summon that person there, but I'll put them on the board so I know to grab them. And have instant vent. So boop, boop, boop. So, the three of you, along with various other members of senior station personnel, are here. I don't know who else you guys want to be attending.
Probably Rylov.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Roloff needs to be there too, I guess.
Makes sense.
Yeah, just maybe, you know.
Yeah,
No.
unfortunately for you guys, most of your senior staff have been headhunted by a subspace anomaly, and you're really undermanned.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
true.
Ven is basically gonna also be reporting all the engineering stuff to you because currently the head of engineering is
Well, you have other people. You have Cham, and you have other people who have come back. So, if people want to grab other support characters that can report in,
Yeah, I mean, having Cham here would probably make sense.
okay.
Who's also not engineering, but
No, it's not engineering.
So who do we have from engineering?
no one. Well, Click. I don't
Click.
think we're bringing Click to a senior meeting.
No,
Yeah.
No, for some
Yeah,
reason,
I don't think we are.
I think Kovac's appearance has made Click not appear. I don't know why. He's nervous around the guy, I guess.
Listen, he just wants to wear the suit.
So,
He likes clicking and crawling on the ceiling. Like,
Do you have Dr. Gallus?
okay.
Is the station's medical officer? We don't have any station engineering officers. That's on the list.
No.
But Rylov has a good engineering score. What is it? And is it
Yeah.
really important that I need to be told now?
Probably not.
this is less it's more of a, you know, there are various people in the room that are not being focused on by the camera, extras as you were. But feel free to bring in support characters for you, the player, to be able to chime in. So I don't know if say Rana wants to pull in someone else from the staff.
There are a few boards that you can pull from.
Yeah, that's it. Are these critical reports, Ben? Like, they need to be pressed now?
There is the one, sort of.
It's a yes or no question.
I mean, this is an
I've been-
emergency staff meeting.
Yes. And he hands a pad over to Captain Pend. He says, "This is just some engineering notes from engineering for you to look over whenever you want." Which is to say, I'm putting my arc towards getting a new ship talent for you guys to help us decide at the end of the session.
Okay, thank you, Anderson.
So yeah, the five of you plus more people are attending.
But regards to this strange anomaly that the Da Vinci encountered, I'm starting to look into it. But you know, I've only just been able to finish reading the preliminary reports. I'd have to take this data to the lab and start doing a deep dive in order to get you anything more definitive.
That would be part of the reason we're having a meeting right now. And
Yeah, I kind of want information here from different sources. Let's get us an idea of what's happened so we can decide on what the next steps are. So,
Right.
yes, Centaurian, would you like to brief us from the Da Vinci side?
the Type 7 shuttle Mona Lisa alongside Captain Thralic, Captain of the Stars Serena, Lieutenant Commander Haifa, Lieutenant Junior Grade Arius, missing. After flying deliberately into a subspace anomaly. There was the belief that they would be able to survive it and find a solution to the problem that was developing. That was a week ago.
Okay.
Problem developing being a subspace tear forming from a moon orbiting a gas giant. There was some sort of energy signature there, but we had not approached to verify it at the time. We were instead looking at a Class K-type world that had 4 such signatures on it.
Okay. So, do we have any more information on the subspace tear?
We have sensor data from the Da Vinci. We currently have a buoy in orbit around the area to act as a comms beacon for the Mona Lisa should it reemerge. As a note as well, prior to our arrival, a civilian vessel did note a anomalous wave or pulse, but we are not allowed to access the logs for that without a warrant. And given they are surrendering themselves to the authority of the FIS, I believe that falls under your purview, Harmonizer Kovic.
Sure. What sort of illegality did you catch them in?
They are supplying the colony as best we can tell. However, they are not at liberty to discuss any details with us due to contract. Apparently, their contract explicitly states a lack of communication with outside sources due to trade secrets, as well as access to their ship due to trade secrets.
Do you have their cargo manifest?
That is also a trade secret.
Yeah, you would see, like, when you look over the pad on your thing, Kovac, as you asked that question, you notice that the Starfleet have noted unopened box A, B, C, D, E. Like, they don't know what's in them. They scan them. It's like, yeah, we can't see what's inside without opening the boxes.
Legally, we can't do anything, but a warrant would allow us to do everything in that regard, given the links to a potential criminal enterprise, as well as the destruction of the system.
Based on what I'm seeing here, does Kovic think he has a good chance of getting a warrant?
Reason command, difficulty of 3, assisted by stations, computers command. See if you can find a legal basis to get it. It's a higher difficulty because you're dealing with a non-member of the FIS, and the FIS is very touchy about invading the sovereignty of other ships.
I don't think any of my focuses will apply here. Reason command, difficulty 3.
You have 1 assist from the ship.
Very good. Okay, take 3 momentum for 4 dice.
Okay.
So it looks like we gain 1.
Looks good.
You're able to finagle looking it up and thinking it out a bit. You're able to find cause. The short story of it is the fact that they did such widespread damage to several ecosystems. This includes the gas giant and all that. The FAS consider it their duty as defenders of planets and information to investigate to see that no other information is lost, etc., etc., etc. But the big thing that pulled the trigger was the fact that planetary destruction, possible destruction's involved. It's like, yeah, the FAS is concerned about that.
Yeah, fair. I just didn't know since these guys weren't involved with that, from what you tell. So, anyway, I'll go ahead and put in the request for a warrant from the I'm blanking on the name of the judicial authority. It's in the sidebar over here, I think.
Now, I will make a note that the Captain Grolk seems... he wasn't aware of this potential consequence. So he's collaborative, but not willing to breach his contract.
Well, fair enough.
Which is something a warrant will help with. He was also far more eager to submit to FIS jurisdiction than Starfleet jurisdiction.
Now that may be telling. No, so I will submit it to the legal counsel of the FIS, which I think is the right. Yeah. That's more like the courts, which is which I need to. Yeah, so the local representative of the legal counsel, the local judge, I reckon.
Yep. You're able to submit it. For 2 momentum, you can get a rush order on it, because otherwise you're waiting till the end of day.
Sure.
Yeah, so you basically put a harmonizer urgent tag to it, and it's like, huh? Oh, like whatever they were doing, they kind of drop it, and then they take a look, because for whatever reason, the harmonizer of Halanak Station wants them to look at this. Like, huh? Why? Oh, that's why. Okay. 1 second. Here you go.
Missing planets.
And then you get your warrant back pretty much within minutes.
Entire missing system and your Captain of the Stars.
It's like, yeah, that's gonna motivate the FIS to want to do something very quickly.
Yeah,
you notice that there was
you got started finding missing cats, and now here you are finding entire missing star systems.
You note that there was a vote among the legal counsel regarding the topic. It was an overwhelming majority. There was some dissenting voices who indicated that this constitutes invasion of sovereignty of alien vessels, but everyone else just drowned them out of star systems. Are you kidding?
Yeah, very good. We have the warrant.
Lovely.
If that's the case, Rylov and Kovic, could you together deliver that warrant to the captain of that vessel and begin the search?
Of course.
All right, I'll head off with Rylov to take care of that.
And then, aren't you and the rest of the team here to go over that data? Anything that you can give us from any sensor readings we get from what we have and what we can possibly retrieve from that ship may help out retrieving the Mona Lisa, its crew, and hopefully that system. Well, thank you for agreeing. Cam, just make sure station protocol is running up to standard. I have a few more meetings, but just keep overview while I'm busy.
I'll do my best, Captain.
I'll get to crunching the numbers.
Well, both of you just...
And then some.
Yes, sir.
Captain Pend, you do have an appointment with Subcommander Van Rull.
I certainly do.
Do you want them to meet you there in the conference room, or do you meet them elsewhere?
I'd ask where's more comfortable for them.
Wherever you can control, wherever you have Starfleet control, so anywhere on level 6 would be preferable. Because yeah, that's all they'll say.
I mean, yeah, I'll just bring him here then.
He steps in, pad tucked under his arm, kind of looks around.
So, Commander.
Touches some of the chairs and turns them a bit. Seems to be examining them. Captain?
If it puts your mind at ease, if I was going to bug the room, I'd do a decent job.
It's not you I'm worried about, Captain. Flicks out a scanner and starts scanning around.
Yeah, I'll just wait till he's finished.
Yeah, well, we should be alright. Flicks it closed and tucks their scanner away. Well, we have
Yes.
resources that indicate that a certain Starfleet personnel is located in the free information sphere. And
Within the free information sphere?
that's correct. Now, I am authorized to share this information with Starfleet and its personnel within certain constraints and considerations. Or I am willing to treat with you as a private Federation citizen, and we can work from there. But this information cannot be offered freely, as you can imagine.
What do you want for it?
Are you asking as a Starfleet officer or as a Federation citizen?
I'm asking as someone who wants his fucking fiancée back.
On a personal level, you will owe the Tal Shiar a favor that we expect to collect. It won't be immediate, it'll be something more long-term, but it will allow you to distance Starfleet from this situation, but I can provide I'll be authorized to provide the information on that promise.
As long as that promise doesn't endanger people, I'm okay with it.
I can't guarantee it won't. I'll be honest with you. We are a empire at war, you understand.
And what if I was to come about this from the other angle?
An official, as a Starfleet captain and station commander, the Roman Empire would want to have a representative of the true empire as a liaison in your staff.
You're already here.
As a more in the same capacity and permanency as the Centurion.
Sure.
Taps at their pad and they put it down and slide it over to you, and it's a legal document that they've already prepared for exactly this, to have Subcommander Varen Rule assigned as fleet liaison to Halanak Station.
Is it an actual document? No funny business?
That's a good question to ask. Reason, command, difficulty of 2.
Focus in diplomacy?
Yep.
Mission directive: cooperate with FIS and allies.
It wouldn't qualify, unfortunately. They're not quite your. The Roman Empire isn't your ally, though it's slowly getting there.
I'll just give a threat.
Okay. Boop, boop. I said boop boop, darn it. Okay. There we go. You gain 3 as you go over it. There's various penalties that will be levied against Starfleet if they unjustly remove Subcommander Varen Role outside of proper diplomatic channels, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's basically enshrining that Subcommander Varen role can't be thrown out. Basically, to throw them out, you would need to have 3 acclaim to have enough influence to get them removed. So you can't. So you wouldn't be able to just say, "I'm throwing you off the station." It's like, no, you can't do that without having enough pull on the Federation Council for them to go to bat for you and fight the Romulan Imperial Senate, which is not that one, but the other one. You know, enough political clout to actually force them off. But that's the only. Funny enough, that's the only condition. It's just it doesn't have any. It doesn't even say that the Varen role has like a staff. The only thing they're allowed is they are allowed themselves, their firearm, their scanner, and personal storage. They don't have like their own contingent of people.
Yeah, so essentially, the only way I'm going to get rid of him is if, 1, I get the acclaim, or 2, I catch him in the act doing something fucking stupid.
And even then...
You need the acclaim still.
Yeah, I'll sign the acclaim, but... Yeah, I'll sign it. Throw it and slide it back to him.
Taps at the pad. Very good. Can I have one of your pads? They gesture to a variety of empty pads you have on the desk.
Yeah, I'll just, gesture to him.
Pulls one over. Taps at the pad a bit. Taps on the table. Taps at the pad. Taps at the table. And then taps at the pad once more and pushes it back over to you. That's her location. The short of that report, and as you see it, as you're able to look at it, it is a full surveillance and scan from Halanak Station, as well as some, and then there's some extra Romulan warbird scans of Opentar that show precisely a small building on Upentar, somewhere out in the jungles, away from the primary city. And then Roll says, "It is our belief that the criminals in question found them were able to integrate themselves as a sort of independent planetary surveillance, some other nonsense. In short, they have forged a legal reason to be here. And according to the Halanak Planetary Science Reserves, it seems that they are here to document some things or another. In truth, they are kidnappers and ransomers who have hidden themselves in the jungle. It is my belief that they have not kept your domestic partner from on an above ground level. We did not detect Orion signatures on the surface, but we did detect that their passage had come into and through the building. So it is our belief, I'll rephrase, it is my belief that she is in fact underground in some sort of cellar or basement, and given these kidnappers, they may have fashioned some sort of makeshift underground encampment or base to hide from the harmonizers. Since they're supposed to be just a bunch of bird watchers and tree huggers or whatever. I would advise against beaming directly to the site, as they will likely, or do anything overt, as they may decide to eliminate the problematic asset they have in their possession. Also, to my knowledge, they are armed with no more than hand weapons, phasers and rifles, as they are, and disruptors, pistols at best. They wouldn't be allowed, even under their legal cover, they wouldn't be allowed to move anything larger than that. But moving around an as yet unidentified alien biological as part of their food, they may, as in your partner, they would, with the right materials, they would have likely fooled them into thinking they just brought food along or had a strange ritual of presenting people. The Upentar are not quite familiar with our ways yet.
Ian, what planet did you say that was on?
Upentar.
Upentar, the one we're right next to.
The one you're in orbit of.
So, we're also going to get to see something very unique. As Penn stands up and starts walking past him, take up your position on staff, please. But his face is actually furious.
Captain, he kind of nods his head at you and strides out of the room.
I can't just go down. Oh no!
And as Captain Penn is left with this bombshell of information, we swing over to Ensign Ven and Lieutenant Cham. What are you two up to?
Currently, Ven is trying to take all the data that the Da Vinci got its hands on, and I'm gonna try to make heads or tails of it using the station's computers and just try to figure out what the heck is going on with this anomaly. Because even though I'm not there, the Da Vinci was there and got, I presume, pretty thorough scans of the whole thing.
Reason Science Difficulty 1, assisted by Station's Computer Science.
Okay, I'm gonna spend 1 momentum just for cautious. Research focus?
Yep.
Okay. What was it? Computer science? Was that right?
Yep.
Is someone rolling that, or am I rolling that?
And
Penn's BRB.
oh, okay, then you're rolling that.
Hold on, I have to pull up its sheet. I was not prepared. Computers science. Oh, hey, that's really good. It's a really good score.
Station. That looks like 5 total hits. Diff 1.
Yup.
So 4 gained. So yeah, it looks like you are able to rediscover through the method that they use to scan the area and so on. It seems that a subspace tear has occurred due to a incredible shift of quantum energies in the area that basically tore a hole into subspace and folded a portion of space-time into subspace. And it is trying to fill that bag with more and more space. That probably wasn't the intention. This seems like a catastrophic failure of some kind. And this is a byproduct of that catastrophic failure. At some point, that little bag of space-time will be strained against the physics of subspace, and eventually the bag will sever itself from space-time and will be isolated as a bubble within subspace, at which point it'll slowly but surely be crushed. It's just a matter of how much mass is pulled into it. The fact that it's taken an entire star system has rapidly sped up that process because there's a ton of mass that got pulled in there. If that was not a red dwarf star there, it would have severed almost instantly the minute the star tumbled in after it.
Oh yeah. So like currently what's going on right now is like the pressure of the space pouring into the tear is what's keeping it from being crushed.
Yeah.
But the moment that it severs, it'll be a contained system, and effectively the water pressure around crush it, as it were. Ooh.
They have maybe a day.
Ooh.
Assuming some idiot doesn't go over there and drop a bunch of mass into it. But, it's in the middle of nowhere, so... inside the Shackleton, within a nebula, so... Thankfully, nebula gases don't have a ton of mass to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there any way to increase that amount of time?
For momentum, I'll answer that.
Sure.
The only way to really do it would be to have a high-intensity tractor beam draw out things from the hole. And basically, it's like bailing out the gases out as it's pouring in. That might buy you another day. Maybe 2 if you're super lucky and the tractor beam is particularly effective. Otherwise, you would need a space station level gravity controlling, like a space station that's only purpose is to manipulate gravity, and very few people build that outside of like scientific experimentation. Like it's like the whole station would be just one massive gravity plate to arrest the feature. Like that would take, and to build such a thing would take longer than you have.
Right. In that case, I might need to try and work out a more wibbly-wobbly space solution to see if I can't figure out a way to reverse the effect.
For a momentum, I'll answer that.
Yes.
You would need something with similar quantum energy within the anomaly, within the sac, to kind of create another energetic burst to kind of expel things out of the bag. Although you'd have to do it carefully, because if you screw it up, you'll obliterate things that are on the way out, or you might tear it free or something like that. But a quantum power core with enough energy pulsing out could cause it to forcibly shove everything out of the bag, or at least, as far as you're concerned, the shuttle.
Okay.
And then whatever's in there could do a quantum slipstream jump back out again, because quantum slipstream doesn't concern itself with the folds of subspace. It just pops into a place it could probabilistically be.
Okay. I do have one more question. Do I get the impression that the energy signature that preceded this event, that, popped it into the dimension, do I get the impression that that kind of energy signature, if properly modulated, could pop it back out again? As you described.
I don't think you need to spend for that. You've repeated back to me what I said in a different way.
Okay. The thing I wanted confirmation was, yes, whatever that energy signature was could do it. Cool.
Oh, yes. It was a quantum power generation, yeah. Although, I will take a momentum because there's something extra to that.
Okay.
It was augmented by a matter-antimatter energy signature.
Interesting. Okay.
Which may either make it easier or harder. It's kind of hard to tell, not being in the facility itself.
Okay. In that case, the only thing I have to do now, and I don't know if that's something I could do here, with another task, or well en route, but knowing what I do about this anomaly, can I try to fashion together a method through which, especially knowing that it's through subspace?
Mm-hmm.
The good news is we communicate through subspace. The idea being that you can reach through subspace and reach a point in actual space on the other end.
Hmm.
This pocket could work in a similar fashion, reaching through subspace, getting to a point on the other end. I want to know if I could figure a way to communicate with things in that pocket, or even better, just straight up warp in there through subspace.
I'll take that for momentum. You could answer that question.
Okay, cool.
Communication's possible. It would be a high difficulty task, but in theory, you could hail. You would direct the certain bands of frequencies, high energy frequencies in the subspace band, to that the Mona Lisa could catch, and hopefully the shuttle, if it's intact, will hear it. That's the trick. If the shuttle's destroyed and they're just reduced to comm badges, they might not hear it. If the shuttle's intact, then yes, the shuttle should be able to pick up across various high energy bands, because comm badges can't pick up certain bands unless you're really close. They're not equipped for that. Could you warp to it? In theory. Theoretically, you could. You're looking at a difficulty 5+, because you are doing a very precise jump that takes you into subspace, into another pocket of space, fast enough that you're not that you're able to get into the pocket of the sack, but at the same time, not so forceful that you just tear it and then you just speed up the process. You could end up severing and crushing the ship and everything in it, or cause a sort of explosive decompression event. But you could do it in theory if you do it right and you control the bubble properly. You could slip through subspace into the pocket without having to go through the hole, because you're going under space rather than through space.
Well, that's something I could try to work out, because, whilst en route or what have you, because I do have a new focus in warp theory.
We're going to swing the camera rapidly over to Ryloth and Kovac.
Cool.
The two of you are enforcing your warrant.
Yep.
It would seem that way.
How are you with computers, Rylov?
Getting through security systems, fine. Through some other things, not necessarily great.
I've found Sub-Lieutenant Talora to be very helpful with various computer systems. Perhaps we should have her with us just in case.
Certainly, that is one of the reasons I like to keep her around.
So yeah, we'll contact Talora to join us. I also, I've got you playing two characters.
It's fine.
There she is. So yeah, you get notices. You guys have control. They're impounded on the station, and the crew are in holding. So you're. The only thing you do as part of protocol is you just call the captain and you show him the warrant. He reads it and he goes, "Oh, that's me." And he, so he taps at the pad. Here's my codes. Some of it's locked, so you'll have to pick past this, but you should be able to get to the ship logs and everything else. The only things that'll be sealed would be the cargo, because the person who's supposed to receive it is the one who has the other code. I actually can't open them once they're on my ship.
Fair enough.
Is there anything now that you're at liberty to say that you would like to?
According to the warrant, I can tell you that I'm not moving any weapons. I do have some hazardous materials involving matter-antimatter systems. I'm not transporting any weapons. I'm not transporting any military equipment, as in torpedoes, phasers, so on. And I have placed no traps in any of them, beyond the locking mechanisms, but that's aftermarket stuff. Frankie made, he shrugs. And if you have any questions, I'll answer anything I can from the log if you're confused.
Thank
And
you.
Talora, let's just out of an overabundance of caution, when we start going through the computers, let's take precautions against the kind of thing that happened the last time we examined a freighter's logs.
Certainly.
Not that I think it's liable to happen again, but just in case.
Caution is a lovely thing to have.
I will take this as reason security, because investigation. Whoops, sorry. Difficulty of... We will say... Ooh, actually, I have quite a bit of threat.
Reason security. Ooh, harder.
Reason security difficulty 5.
For doing that, why don't we let Kovic lead?
Yeah, you certainly can.
This has less to do with any of the lock. This is going to umbrella cover opening the materials, looking over all the files, and you will succeed at cost. You can succeed at cost. The cost is you take an immense amount of time slowly getting through everything, but if you make it, you're able to get through it rather quickly, or at least find good evidence quickly. And then there's like a bunch of other stuff that will be nice to know, but not need to know.
Okay.
Time constraints rather than
Yeah.
That's useful.
Investigative techniques for a focus.
Yep.
Damn, it's almost like I'm going to use the same one.
What are our
Sorry, I had to.
So does that mean
directives?
3 out of us have the same focus? I guess it's useful.
Yeah.
So what are our directives, GM? I guess I
Um,
should ask specifically what are Kovic's directives, standing and otherwise.
Execute the warrant. Oh.
actually, yeah, you do have a standing directive to investigate the. This is in connection with the investigation regarding the lab, so this would fall under your directives from the from Parliament.
Okay, so I will go ahead and spend my determination towards that directive. And then let's give you 4 momentum and... Is that right? 2. Yeah, and 1 threat for the other 4 dice.
Which one, Tom?
Oh, Jesus.
And let me scroll down.
That's
Press this
5.
button
That's 4, sorry.
Analysis focus.
Yep.
No.
So we are 1 short. I need to find me...
I don't
Reroll.
believe I can give you your determination back, unfortunately. Can I? No. Yes?
No, because he's
I'm
his
not
own
part of the crew.
he's his own
Yeah.
chain of command.
I can't help you, tragically. Otherwise, that would have been an amazing time to spend that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
really. I've been rolling all night.
Yeah, could I give him mine?
I think I'm outside of your chain of command too.
Oh no, you could, because he's station command. He's empowered by the FIS.
Whereas I'm ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have mine.
Okay. I will re-roll 3 then. That's much better.
I think in
Right.
terms of station jurisdiction, Rylo's like the same as Kovic.
So that's a total of
Yeah.
8. So gain 3.
I get mine back.
You are able to. It would seem. Oh, actually, this is where I actually look at the secret notes I had. I couldn't see any of it because Mr. Subcommander didn't know this. It's almost like he chose not to tell the Tal'Shar this information. Scroll. There it is.
Secret notes. Secret note.
Secret.
Through the prep word. Secret.
Well, that's the wrong document. This one.
And then the harmonizer disappeared.
Oh, right. I remember now. All right. So, um, it would seem that when you look over the reports, it looks and the various materials, it looks like they were transporting. This guy's job was to move a lot of materials that were involved in packing up and disassembling a colony. And according to the computer, it seems that he was given leave in his contract to effect self-defense measures, but he wasn't there to destroy or kill anyone, like destroy any materials or kill any people. That wasn't his job. His job was to go there and use the materials he had to scoop up every last stem bolt, panel, computer chip. Everything was going to be scoured off that planet and gone. The biome was going to be pulled apart and they were going to be yanked out of there. And that's all the material. And it has various containers for the Savix cast to be held in confinement until such time they could be released back to their home system or to a safe planet. So, like, think massive aquariums where they'd be able to put them in with food and stuff like that. Right. A lot of the hazardous materials is stuff like some of the fusion generators that they have and some of the gases that they have are for maintaining the environmental units, containment units for the Savix cast. As well as some disassembly, high-intensity disassembly materials. So there's matter, antimatter things that can break things down. These things are a Romulan version that's way more intense, that eliminates everything, including any trace amounts. It takes a great amount of energy and a very particular type of gas, but it basically obliterates the thing as if it never existed. Beyond it being in the log, at which point the computer wipes itself from ever having done it.
So all
It's a
this,
deniable asset.
a lot of these materials are Romulan in manufacture.
A lot of them are Ramu manufacture. The containment units are actually Breen in manufacture. Because Breen are masters of environmental systems.
Yeah,
So this is actually, so this ride would have been actually, first class accommodations for a Savix cast. Small, but still they would have been comfortable.
Okay. What else you got for me?
You have momentum. You have more questions. Feel free to ask.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So
I don't know if this would be a question, but are the manufacturing marks also wiped off of everything on these?
Right. And just as a note, since this was a task to investigate a crime, lead investigator gives me 2 bonus momentum. Constable gives me a 3rd bonus momentum.
Okay. It will cost a question to see if Maker's marks are gone.
Spend one of the bonus on that.
Double checking everything. You note that there are that all the raw manufacturer markings have been removed. The Breen ones have not. You actually know what manufacturer built these things, or if you could ever talk to the Breen, but they're on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
So, as I recall, the bits of Romulan parts that were in the laboratory asteroid, it wasn't so much they'd been removed as that they had not been manufactured with any identifying marks on them. Is that the same case here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is at least establishing a pattern or a
Right.
style of behavior.
Okay. So we got 2 left.
I will say that
Hey.
whether or not Telor and Ryloff both are able to tell that having seen a bulk amount of these things, you recognize that these materials, these things that are manufactured, could only be manufactured within the Senate faction space. There's certain materials you can get in the core world and on Romulus that are of higher quality in build manufacturing, but the more lower quality ones, but still effective ones, you don't know which particular factory or manufacturer made these things, but seeing them all together and you think about it, it's like, yeah, no, this is something that you would make out in the extensions. You wouldn't make this in the core. It's not even all that more expensive. It's just there's certain things that you can only build that quality if you have the right facilities.
So state resources?
These are state resources, yeah.
So he's going to probably notice, talk to Telor, who's probably also noticed they're going to have the brief back and forth in quiet tones. Hi, Kovic, I'm sure you love that.
As the two Romulan state officers are muttering between themselves.
Okay.
He'll just kinda look at Kovic and be like, these likely, or almost certainly, came from territory within the state.
And here I was thinking you guys were the good guys.
Though from what I'm hearing, and she's seen, there's been some efforts to frame the state at this current time.
Maybe. Maybe not. We're not. That remains to be seen. I think it's definitely a possibility, but I don't have any evidence to disprove it at this point. Speaking of, who's their client? Who hired him to do this?
I'll hand that back to you. Even in his log, I think I'd have to look back again, but it was a particular Breen contact that they had. He met with a person who told him the job. That's the person who said, grab these things, bring them here.
Did it happen to have been a Breen who used the name Bosnar? That was the one that had hired the Romulans to erase what's-his-face's ship's logs.
Oh, he didn't tell you that. That's right. Those guys did. It is the same guy. Sorry. That is. I will take a moment. I will take a question. That is. I for some reason I thought you already knew this. I forgot. I confused them. No, it is the same person.
Okay.
Well, that seems like a nice link to know.
Yep, and we have we have a way to contact him.
I'm sure that'll be fun.
Well, we'll see. I mean, if he's in the Breen territory, I'm not sure. It's not like that would be a difficult sting operation to set up.
If he isn't and you do meet him, never put your back to him.
I don't want to put my front to him. What are you talking about? Let's see. Remove all traces of the biome. And you said in the logs, did the data indicate that they were expecting resistance from the colonists?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I'll reiterate that they were given self-defense directives. They could use some level of force to make them go in, but they weren't allowed to kill anybody unless they used lethal force first. Which, that makes sense. Even Federation mercenaries are hard to convince to go around killing people. Tends to offend their sensibilities. Not to say there aren't bad Federation, but, if they're a legitimate organization like they are, they're supposed to not do that.
Okay, still got one freebie. Anybody got a burning question?
Is that rash supposed to be there?
I've got
That's more of an itching question.
What?
I've got an idea. So, in different forms of manufacturing, even though you probably don't have like a maker's mark. Most like companies or places that do manufacture have like set like their patterns of different chemical builds of how to do the same thing.
Right.
Is it possible on a molecular level, looking at these materials, that you can identify, or whether it's an advantage or a question, that while not looking for a maker's mark, we're looking at the actual product itself to see if that matches other products elsewhere?
You know what? For 2 momentum, I'll take that. There's an advantage for that.
Okay.
Because I could see them missing that.
Yeah.
Because it'd also be so energy and resource intensive to hide that. Hiding a mark is easy. Changing molecular signatures is just another level of annoyance you wouldn't want to bother with, unless you really had to.
You would also reasonably need something to check against,
Yeah.
Right. Well, we've
which
got
they wouldn't expect the FIS to have.
right.
Yep.
We've got multiple samples now, so
You're able to narrow down a few star systems it has to be from. There's only it doesn't get you a specific manufacturer, but it narrows down which ones it could be. Because there's only certain places you can get these particular types of manufacturing devices, materials, etc. So instead of it being finding thousands upon thousands of manufacturers, it's like a 10 or so. Drastically reduced it.
so
And I will note that Tal'Ora and Ryloth are aware that these resources are these 10 manufacturers that you're able to narrow it down to are all state-owned. These are not independent actors. So either someone infiltrated a state manufacturing facility to make these, or yeah.
I don't think we're not telling Kovic that right now. It's going to be the
Okay.
we have something to look into, and we'll get back to you when we get an answer. Pending resolving what we've got here at the moment. But
so where did our Tellarite friend pick up all these goodies? Where was he? Where did he
That'll cost
get all
some
this
momentum to
from?
answer, or question to answer.
Last bonus.
That would be... I'm going to pull you over to this map here, because I have to look as well, so might as well bring you along for the ride. Somewhere up here. Where's a good spot to grab this without drawing too much attention? You're not even sure where I'm looking. Actually, I'm looking up here somewhere. I'm just trying to think.
We're back to Typhon Expanse, I see.
How clever you guys. Let's roll that. Let's roll.
Very fucking clever.
Not you, them.
I mean, also not so much.
I mean,
smarter than them.
Look, we play a whole game to determine how smart we are.
Deep Space 4.
Ooh.
So, this location.
Right next to the Typhon Expanse.
Is that a Federation station?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to bring up Typhon Expanse in the meeting since I know Vin had done that, but that didn't happen. Okay. So we got 6 momentum. Know where he got it from, know what it is. Manufactories. Okay. What was the name of the person or persons, if that information is available, that were transshipping this stuff? In other words, who was he dealing with on Deep Space 4?
One second. You will get an answer to that because you'd be able to look that up on your. Well, you'd look up on his computer because he would have logged that because that's not.
Okay.
Oh, one thing I'll highlight: the big thing that makes this all trade secret, by the way, is that the methodology he's using is not like this particular path, and the person he's using is all part of a particular way of moving things and securing things. So, oh, you silly machine. I didn't want to do that. No. 1 second. I might have just glitched myself. Oh, fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks. Fine, we'll do it this way.
Leave those sticks out of this.
But yes, it is this particular person that they dealt with, and the methodology of like how to secure their computer systems. Basically, if you try to force your way into this, it would have started wiping itself. But because you had his codes, and you did such a high roll, you were able to get as much information as possible. Yeah, without his biometric coding, there was a lot of stuff that would have just vanished without whether or not you rolled well. It wouldn't have mattered. You needed the captain to physically biometric unseal stuff.
Okay.
And
so do I need to spend to get the name of the transshipper?
You do, yeah. I just have to generate the name, honestly.
Okay. Thralic, that'll be one of the pool.
Yep.
What's the word? It's evading me. Oh, there you go. They are known as Chief Fixer de. They work for the consortium. They're a trill.
The consortium?
Consortium of... fudge. I told you guys the name of it, and I can't...
Hey, I think it's in one of my logs.
I think it's Te, like T-E. The same guys that he works for.
Chief Fixer Day of the Consortium of Tay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Where did we get... Was that the same people that the Tellarite was working for?
That's the same people that Tellarite was working for, yeah. That's the company. That's the company he works for.
Okay. I was just double checking.
Your Tellarite, right? Right, which Tellarite?
The Tellarite that you have, Rylov.
Oh, that one. Okay, the captain. Gotcha.
Yeah, the guy that Kovac knows is just some smuggler. He's just an independent operator.
Right. Okay. So ultimately, they were hired by the same brain that hired the two Romulans who were spoofing. What's his face? I've already forgotten his name. The blue flame or blue pirate. What? Yeah, Qualar. Got manufacturers. Got the Breen thing. Got the contact at Deep Space 4. I'm kind of drawing a blank on anything else to ask. Anybody else got anything think I should dig into while I'm here?
The if they have what their sensor logs and such are on the pulse they received that they had before
yeah.
the Da Vinci arrived.
Oh yeah, let's look at that.
Yeah, I like that.
That should be covered by the warrant, since the reason we got the warrant was the
Yeah.
threat to planets. And
I'll take a moment for that then.
Okay.
So it appeared that the pulse occurred the moment they got within. They were starting to enter the system, and they hailed the facility as they were approaching. Like, they were letting the people there know the contact that they were supposed to meet, because the captain doesn't know who he's supposed to talk to. He just knows that there's a number he's supposed to call, a subspace channel he's supposed to call on. So he calls that and he's hailing it. Instead of getting a hail back, that's when the explosion happened, or the quantum pulse happened. Everything else that you find in there is a repeat of stuff you already scanned. But you notice a very specific timing that you don't think even the captain caught on to. He didn't probably... It would have happened so quickly he wouldn't have noticed.
And he attempted a subspace communication.
Yep.
I don't know if that's necessarily relevant, but it might have something to do with it.
You know that FIS people don't like using subspace, especially if they're as old as they think, as it sounds like they are. They would use QECs. Talking to them on subspace requires a subspace to QEC transceiver system, and that's usually something you reserve. It's more of a recent thing they've had. It's not something most of their outposts have.
Upon receiving a subspace communication, there was the immediate response of the pulse.
Yep.
Okay, so like the pulse caused, potentially.
And the pulse is either a consequence of the communication or perhaps a deliberate defensive measure that might not have worked.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just saying, I believe it was theorized of hiding things in subspace before.
The who?
Hiding things, places in subspace. I believe that was... We've run into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we have.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I can't say if that was 100% what they were trying to do, but it might make sense if... that might just be me getting away from myself.
Okay. Okay. Anything else we ought to get into?
Yeah, I've got one.
What's that?
Do they have any connections to a recent group who have set up in a forest?
Is Pent asking us to look into that?
No, I'll just fucking...
Damn. That could have been fun.
Yeah.
Nothing comes to mind for me, and I don't know if you need me for anything else.
I think that's all the questions I have, GM.
Very good. Scene will end there.
I was going to say one thing to Kovic if I could.
Feel free.
Just to be quite upfront with you, there's one thing I'm not telling you, and one thing Talora's not going to tell you, and that's until I have made contact with the state and determined something. Whether or not it is something I can actually tell you or not, given the state we're currently in, and who's presently running around to the station. Is that fair?
To a point, but
To a
I
point.
can only give you so much rope there.
That is why I'm choosing to tell you.
Fair enough.
As we rapidly cut back to the away team, as they just in time for them to see in the sky above, some two things collide into each other in a fluorescent flurry of activity, sends everything in the planet of the moon shaking. But thankfully, you're not the ones that crashed into something.
Okay, that's good.
And Thralic, for a threat, I
Yeah?
can tell you something.
Sure. I love knowing things. It's great. Definitely no side effects to knowing things. Also, knowing things has definitely never caused psychological harm or stress, nothing of the sort. Yeah, no, my narrative instincts had assumed that already.
So Team A and Team B, you have your friendly Savix cast, who's giving the warning of what's to come, of the attack on the facility that you need, that is currently the controlling system for this facility, as well as and then you also notice that the majority of the non-combatants are all in this habitation area, including the injured Romulans that they took into custody, because that's where the medical facilities are.
How far away is it from us?
I can a distinct amount of time, in the sense that if you did split up to different regions, if something happened to one group or the other, it would be a full scene for them to get from one building from one set of buildings to the other.
I feel like what we should do is get in the shuttle and use it as essentially an armored vehicle. Because, I mean, yeah, it's your only ticket out of here, but I think it's our only advantage given the fact that we are undermanned and not a security team. If we have other ideas, though.
Here's the difficulty with moving that. We'd have to land it again, which is a difficulty 4 check. Or difficulty 5, especially if we're not landing into a landing pad. That's my concern there.
In that case, are we just booking it to go fight the Romulans? What are we doing? You're the captain here.
Yeah, that would be my plan. Thralic had at the very end of the last scene sprinted back to the shuttle to try and get combat gear.
And as you sprint toward the shuttle, the four of you start moving. Yeah, like some of you have kind of collected around the Savix cast to talk to him and stuff, and then after talking to him, you're starting to get yourselves oriented. Thralic, you start rushing back, and you rush back just in time to hear the warning alarms and klaxons wail, and you see that the entire moon seems to be shaking and cracking underneath you. And you notice that it looks like the Mona Lisa is near a crevice that it's about to tumble into.
Fun. Do I have... Hold on. How large is this crevice?
Large enough to... but wide enough that it would allow them at least to tip into it and get wedged into it, but not deep enough that it would fall forever because the moon's not that deep, frankly. But it would lodge into this massive crack in the ground, basically, if it falls in.
I guess I'm more asking about how much of the landing pad's surface is the crevice taking up.
Careful when you pet. Everybody's been dosed with advantage.
What was that?
What?
What?
No, not yet. All right.
What?
It's okay.
All right.
I think our only option is to book it for the shovel and get in it and pilot it before it gets stuck.
So my question is, how large is that crevice in relation to the landing pad? For example, if I moved the shuttle...
Would you have somewhere to put it back down?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's basically bisecting the landing area. And the building.
Now, I have a question.
Go for it.
If I spent 4 momentum, would my new talent allow me to do that?
What's your new talent?
We talked about this.
Well, I don't have a perfect memory. You'll have to help me.
Okay. No, I wanted to ask subtly.
I mean, oh, that one. Okay, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I can look to your sheet. Oh, holy crap. Hold on. Let me think. You would have to... spend more than that. You'd be giving me a lot of threat.
Okay.
You'd be giving me, like, 50 total. Just because of how heavy it is.
Well, I wanted to check.
Do we want to give him 50 threat? The episode's almost over.
I
mean,
definitely
don't. The worst thing
don't.
he can do is kill us. The worst thing.
No,
he can
here's
do
the
is kill
thing.
us.
Corbinian can definitely figure out something to do with 50 threat. I know this.
Yeah, but I mean,
Come at me.
Stovacor, etc., etc.
Okay. Then second question: am I close enough to the shuttle to get into it before it tumbles into this?
You would be giving me fitness con. Difficulty 5 to get there in time that you'd be able to get at the controls before it just tipped into the hole. Because it's sprinting to it and then sprinting into the control as it's tipping to start doing something.
Yep. I will go for that.
Fitness con.
Fitness con. Focus in athletics.
Yep.
Trait of Hoplite Commander.
Yep. Blow up a star. Blow up a star. Chance author. I mean, there is a red dwarf
you're
here.
Not helping. There's a star that can be blown up quite easily. Trait of Relentless.
Yep.
All right. Trait of Extraordinary Climber.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red dwarves are notoriously unstable. You're right, author.
Not right at all. Not that. I'm spending momentum for a third die. Alright, so I generate 2 off that. I'm in the ship.
You jump over the crevice, you start climbing into it. The whole shuttle starts tipping to the left as you're kind of climbing over stuff, and you're not even sitting in the chair. You're just kind of bracing your feet against the floor and tapping against the things. You don't have time to even turn on the grab plates because you have seconds before this thing just nudges itself, lodges itself in there.
Mm-hmm.
All
Trying to skid it over to the side.
And you want to get it out. You want to pick it up and land it.
Yep.
Daring plus con, difficulty of 4.
Cool.
And unfortunately, this outpost can't help you because the outpost is being breached rather severely by a seismic event. Well, seismic may be the wrong word, but you know.
I assume it would be more difficult to get the ship airborne and not land it, but like try and get the other people on board.
If you just take off and hold, and you're just up and you beam people up, that's easy. Because if the planet opens up under you, that's a different problem. That's the planet's problem now. You just have to beam everyone. You just have a beam up roll that you'd have to do.
What if? I mean, I guess I'm asking more like, if I just like pull up off the planet, can other people like jump on board?
Oh, they could, but they'd have to do the same fitness roll that you did, with your assist, I suppose, because you're flying. Unless you're thinking lifting off just enough that you're just hovering there and they can just jump up onto you.
That is what I had originally been thinking. Yeah.
Okay, so if you do, then that's brain quick. Control con daring con difficulty of already spent for the other thing. Difficulty 2.
I'm gonna do that then, and I'm going to shout back. Everyone, get on the shuttle.
Can I grab the Savix cast and pull them with us?
Easily. And actually, the minute you start grabbing them, they clue in what's happening. They just kind of roll up on top of you. This is a... You remember, there's a festival that's done sometimes that involve running around with Savix cast on your head.
Yeah, the project of perpetual freedom. Enduring friendship. Whichever one it is.
There's 2 of them.
Is it a roll?
Since they're just going to be hovering there, assuming their roll goes off,
Yeah.
you're looking at a fitness con difficulty of 2 for each person to get up there. And for Serena, you'd be assisted by the plant person because they're helping with their little tendrils push you along.
So daring con difficulty 2, hoplite commander here. This is basically doing a
Yep.
drop extraction.
Yep. Shuttle assist with engines con.
Yep.
Final move. Final rolls. Just so your heads up.
Yep. Decorated military family. Same reason. I'm doing a shuttle extraction basically under immediate time pressure.
Yep.
All right. I am comp checking then for this roll. Daring con. That is a comp.
Plus shuttle.
And shuttle. Engines, con. No comp.
Nothing.
I'm just gonna spend 2
Okay.
to quash.
Shuttle's off the ground and hovering. Everyone else needs to roll to get on board before they as the facility's being ripped in half. So I need a fitness con roll from Kobik, Serana, and Arius. Difficulty of 2.
Well, I'm probably gonna have the worst fitness con at an 8, so I'll go first and burn all of our momentum.
You're also being assisted twice.
Okay. Could I make an argument Upentari, the trait, reduces the difficulty because I can stretch my body. I only have one body in ways that they cannot.
I take that, yeah. The terrain's not nearly as difficult for you as it is for other people. You just slime over them.
GM, will you take 3 threat to activate Walking Encyclopedia for an athletics focus. Actually, no, never mind. It doesn't matter because my value is 1.
Okay.
Never mind.
I mean, you can if you want, but I wouldn't advise it.
Fitness. Okay, in that case, I don't have a determination anymore, so I'm simply going to spend all 3 of that momentum. 4 dice. Hope for the best. Oh, you can't desist because
Nope.
I don't have any successes.
Do you have a moment? Do you have a determination?
I don't think I've done anything in this game thus far that involved feats of physical prowess.
No.
They have no determination at the moment. It's just they just have
Yeah,
milestones.
Then
I don't have any milestones for this.
Then I will give you a determination because I am a commanding officer, and this is my mission.
Okay.
Yep.
You can do that. Okay. I thought that. Okay. Cool. In that case, I am spending that on solidarity forever. I think the solidarity needs to work together closer and closer, and so working together with another member of the FIS is like core to my being, especially for mutual safety. Okay, re-rolling all 4 of those. Well, at least I can be assistant now. So it's just 1. So that's 2 momentum, right? Or if they have a focus or not.
That's 3 hits. They actually have a focus.
and I tell you what, that ground is not very solidarity right now.
Yeah, GM, for my assist, am I using Daring Con, or was it from me ordering people on, so it would be Presence?
Presence.
Okay. Presence command, assist, that means, surrounding, you get an additional reroll? Okay. So that's
An extra momentum.
3,
extra
4,
momentum.
5 hits total on a difficulty 2.
Diff 1 for my trait, so 4 momentum.
Got it.
But I spent
4
half,
momentum
4 total.
plus a bonus. So we have 2 floats. So if you wanted to, you could swift here.
For
Do
what?
what?
I don't know.
Or maybe create an advantage.
Oh my god, can I create an advantage that I am stretched out between the ground and the ship, and that other people can use me as a stepping stone?
You certainly can. I'll treat you as actually, I'll treat that as you creating an advantage through yourself. You make it less difficult because you're literally made yourself a ramp.
That's perfect.
Hold on, I'll
Who said
record
I don't
this.
do things for you.
Can I do Kobuk?
Please do. Fitness con difficulty 1 now.
Okay. You know what? For the heck of it, I am going to spend a determination. Greatness in the making.
Yeah.
This is action scene moment.
Yep. Follow the yellow brick road.
What's the comp range?
Non-existent.
Regular.
Oh, great.
As you all know, advantages have names.
We. Lieutenant Captain of the Stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 off of 1. You generate 3.
Yeah.
So stupid.
I'm never gonna recover from this.
You're literally carrying this away team.
I carry this game on my back.
Yeah.
Haha.
And now for Arius.
Well, there's 6 momentum.
Yep.
Fitness con of coordination.
Yep.
So who's left to do? Is it just?
It's just him.
Just you.
I'll spend all 6.
Yeah.
Alright.
Raw.
You could have just turned off his mobile emitter and carried him.
Wrong character.
No. Lieutenant Reyes is the security chief.
Right.
And as you left off, and everyone very quickly makes their way aboard. This one? Oh, this one. You start to lift off. Everyone's come aboard. You close up the door. You can see that a massive crack has sliced this building in two, and it stretches for untold miles over the horizon. And you get a blaring navigation alarm, and you tap at whatever it is, because maybe it's important. Something might be colliding with you, and you need to do emergency maneuvers or something. You notice that the Red Dwarf Star, it has grabbed this moon, and this moon is plummeting rapidly toward it, and that's why it's breaking apart.
Yeah.
For now, we'll see whether or not the away team aboard the Mona Lisa will be able to survive the shattering of the moon. Maybe they'll be able to rescue those who are trapped on its surface. And never mind the fact that there are a bunch of reptiles who are on a dying world in this death ball. Meanwhile, the Halanak Station is rapidly trying to put together the pieces of the mystery and maybe race in time to save the away team if there's anything left to save. But for now, all of you who are watching, thank you very much for watching. All of you who are playing, thank you very much for playing. And we hope to see you again next time. Whew.